What do tigers dream of when they take a little tiger snooze? Do they dream of mauling zebras or Halle Berry in a Catwoman suit? Don't you worry, pretty tiger head, we're gonna get you better testing in your cozy tiger bed. Then we're gonna find your best friend Doug, and then we're gonna give him a best friend hug. Doug, Doug, oh, Dougie, Doug, Dougie, Dougie, Doug, Doug. But if he's been murdered by crystal meth tweakers, well then we're shit out of luck. So welcome back to the Pear Pod, everyone. Very exciting week last week. A lot of stuff was done, holy shit. So later on I'm going to talk a little bit about my MMA GOAT status. And there's just been a lot of stuff going around online about who the GOAT is right now and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to go over that a little bit later. So chapter will be there. Skip forward if that's what you came for. But before we do that, I have a few things to discuss with you. Firstly, I was back to Dublin for 36 hours this weekend. Little in and out job, in and up you pop. I was going back for, as I said last week, Don't Tell Mum had their first live gig in Whelan's, which has now been completed. It was some event, man. Jesus, it was mad, and it was nice. It kind of doubled as an opportunity to like see people I hadn't seen in a long time, which is fucking ideal. But it gave me a totally new understanding of how like truly difficult it is to put on a live show, if like, you know, particularly one with a 4-piece band and lights and all that shit, man. It was fucking insane. So just to give you an idea of like what the timings of this is, like I always presumed you get in there, you take your guitar out and then you go out and have a few cans until it's time to go, and there's groupies. But there's no groupies. There's no rupees. There's essentially, you got to get there. We got in there, I think we were in there 5. They're due to go on at 9:15. In there, unpack all the gear, set all the gear up, do a sound check, talk about the lighting setup, meet the opener. And then like by the time we got backstage to have a water and you know, kind of just assess the situation, it was almost time to go. So it was good that we were busy though, because the sitting and waiting is tough, man. And I wasn't even doing anything. Do you know what I mean? I was just filming. I was just nervous for them. But they smashed the fucking tits out of it, man. They really did. It was sick. It was some experience, and we got so much class footage out of it, man. So Don't Tell Mum About Whelan's documentary is in the process, in the works right now. And it will make a triumphant return. The last kind of doc I did with Don't Tell Mum, which was at Camelot Studios, it did super well. It got like 20,000 views on a channel. Like they just started the channel. It had no, you know, it had virtually no subscribers. It just caught. And you know, that was like, for me anyway, I haven't got 20,000 combined views on this channel. And I put out content every week. It comes out every week, as consistent as, I don't know what is as consistent as that. I don't know, but it blew me away, man. And then like when you get up there and start doing, I'm sure the adrenaline stuff took over for them, but it was fucking, it's hot in there. It's quite compact, you know. It's not like a massive stage, so you either have it or you don't. But obviously the lads fucking smacked the living Christ out of it, and it it was weird, man. You go back to Dublin from here. There's no doubt I am more productive in Marbella. Zero doubt. Like even this week, I've talked to, there's a lot of big creators coming into Marbella this summer. And so both from like a work standpoint and from a PowerPod standpoint, I'm very aware of how potentially good this summer could be, and like in general, there's more opportunity here for the kind of work that I do. Double that with the weather, the lifestyle, with the gyms being around, and honestly, when you're not surrounded by your friends, you're not socializing as much. And socializing in Dublin, it not 90% of the time, we'll have drink involved, and with drink comes fucking hangovers and pizzas and other bits and bobs, yourself, like. But over here, you don't have as much of an urge to drink, and maybe that's because we don't have as many like friends out here. But I guess it's just a trade-off. But right now, things are progressing very nicely, and as soon as I get back into I miss my routine. People who say, "Oh, I miss my routine." Oh, I can't get out of my routine, and I have to have avocado toast with 2 gooey eggs. I just want to pierce the eggs with my knife and ooze down onto my avocado toast. But I have a routine. Even it's just getting up and knowing what I'm doing every part of the day, And then when I'm finished on my stuff, it's 7:30 and it's time to chill out. And everything through the day, I'm like seeing how that will be, beneficial to, to my life in some way. So yeah, it was lovely to be back in Dublin, and it gets you kind of like, fuck, I'd love to be at home. But I guess sometimes you got to go away to come back. Do you know what I mean? Get up that hill, hop, dip, hop. But yeah, it was good to get back. I'm going to try and get back, but oh my God, the airports. Oh, the airports. I know, like, the last thing you want to fucking hear about is airport issues. It's all the world is talking about right now. It's on the Instagram story. 12-hour wait, 14-hour wait at Gatwick. 14 hours. So anyway, I go into Dublin Airport. I'm of the belief you get to the airport. If you're not checking a bag, which I wasn't for these 2 flights, you get to the airport between an hour and a half and 2 hours before your flight. I like to lean towards an hour and a half. Get into the the security. So at Spain, we got into Spanish airport. It was quite busy, but we flew. Actually, it was maybe like 20 minutes through security. So I got a little shock at the start because it was the busiest I'd ever seen it. But it was efficient and moved quickly. Now, the word efficient, that would go in a category of adjectives you would use to not describe Dublin Airport Terminal 1. And I doubt Terminal 2 is much better, but my issue is with Terminal 1 today. Well, I say issue. So we finished the gig. A few slurpy pints. I've absolutely destroyed a viscose shirt. People who don't know, when I shoot, I sweat like a lot. I'm a moist man, a man of moisture, and I just in that little cramped space. I knew going in there, I was sweating just doing the shooting the sound test, and there was no one else in there. So throw in a lot of bodies, and there was a lot of bodies. A lot of lads full of pints. So yeah, I was in for hell from the start. But anyway, I'm on my way back. I'm in the car with my mum, and I'm like, okay, so my flight's at, what was it? My flight was at 3, I think. Yeah, 3 or 2 something. And so I'm in the car, and I'm like, okay, it's about a little past 12, maybe a little more. Maybe it was like 12:30 or it might have been closer to 1. So I'm there about an hour and 40 minutes before my flight, and I get into the airport, and I go, Jesus, you're at the gates area and the security's to the left. I get in there and I go, there's a lot of people there today. A little worried, but there's a lot of people milling around the middle area, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what all the commotion is. Blah blah. Start heading towards security, walking past a whole mass of people. I'm like, oh, the gates are busy. Good thing, not checking any bags. Little did I know, just a naive little boy. Anyway, I roam on. I see a Gardaí, or I think it was a Gardaí actually. I don't know why he was there. And I was like, excuse me, mate. So I'm walking past him and he goes, excuse me. I was like, yeah, I don't have any weed. And he goes, you going for security? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, the line is, starts back there and points to he points 500 feet. No, he points to the end of the line, which is halfway back down the airport, and it's a curling snake line. So it's not one long line, it's a snake line. So that line is 8 times as long if it was out straight. You know what I mean? And so I asked the gentleman, I was like, how long does that look at? And he goes, at least an hour. At least an hour. So I start getting in line, and pretty quick, I'm like, this isn't going to be good. This is going to be tight. And I'm like, fucking rethinking my whole method. I'm like, fuck, man. They did say 3 hours before, but I always thought that that's bullshit to get you to go in and spend money in the airports. And maybe it is. I still feel like it is. Anyway, I'm in the line snaking around. It's not moving quick. People are pissed off. And to my right, I notice a smaller line. The fast pass line. It sneaks off into a little corridor. I don't know, people don't know what that is. Fast pass is something you can buy on Ryanair or different. I think multiple things, and it gets you through a little private security line. So I look at it, and there's maybe 10 people in the line. And I'm like, okay, so I have to make a decision. I imagine this. I see the machine. There's a machine over there, and it says you can buy here. I'm snaking through my line. I've made about 20 minutes of progress. And I go, I can either sit in this for another 40 minutes, barely make it to my flight, no snacks, it's going to be rushed and sweaty and not nice, or I chance my arm here, go and try and get into a fast pass. Now, I didn't think there'd be any issues in me going to buy one, and I was thinking, geez, people are just not using their brains today. Because why wouldn't everyone just, as soon as you see the long line, go for the fast pass? So I duck out of the line, and I start walking over. People are looking at me like I've lost my mind. And I head over to the fast pass line. There's a woman there, and I go, excuse me, miss, can I get a fast pass, please? Can't buy them here. The machine's broken. Of course it is. Of course it is. How do I get a fast pass? You might be able to get one on the app, but it's not been working for people. Okay. Is anything in operation? Hope the planes are working. Hope the planes are working today. So immediately I'm on the Ryanair app. I go in there, I go into my boarding pass. And to be fair, you'd need to be savvy enough because half the people, in fairness, Granny Betty and Grandad Bert aren't going to be able to get into their Ryanair app, go into their boarding pass, go down to accessories, go into fast pass, click add, go through the payment process. Luckily, your boy spends all his time on his phone, and he's pretty savvy with it. Within about 30 seconds, I'm in the fast pass queue. Fast pass acquired. Say fast pass more. But no, I did. I got my fast pass, get into the line, and behind me I just see a snaking line of people. And I started a trend. A few people started to look over, saw me going in, and you know, I didn't really give a fuck at that stage. I was through security, no bother, and then the flight's delayed. Course it is. Apparently someone was flying their drone around Dublin airport. Could have been a young Sam Byers, so I didn't feel too bad. But 2 flights in 2 days is grim, man. It's just grim. And the flights are busy, loads of kids. God, flying with kids. I'm not going to put my kid on a flight. I'm not going to put him on a flight because fuck him. He doesn't need to get in the pool. He's not going to remember it anyway. I genuinely mean that. I don't remember going to Tenerife when I was 2. So put me. I'll stick you with your granny. You can fucking see what I was going through for a while. Just joking. I love you, mum. But like the single mum with the one baby strapped to her fucking tits in that little bandana thing that they wrap the kids up in so she doesn't have to put him in a seat. Then there's 2 more young lads behind him, fucking Declan and Keno come in behind, running in, screaming in Man United kits. And you go, okay. They start walking towards you and you go, if they fill those 2 seats behind me, I'm going to shoot someone. But they go past, but not too far past. And it's up on the seats, it's hands over the seats, it's shouting and crying. I'm like, mad, there's no dad in sight. I'm like, she's going to do the 3 kids on her own. Oh, it's so funny. She gets in with like this, just one old man sitting in his own, gets mum, 1 kid. Oh, no. So they didn't have a row to themselves. So it was the 2 kids and then the mum behind. So the granddad sitting there with the 2 kids and the mum behind. Oh, man. It should be against the rules to fly like that. They should be asked at the gate what their plan is technique-wise. Well, we just gave him, some THC oil with his Rice Krispies, so he'll be out in no time. Excellent. Okay. And scan your boarding pass. Thank you. And you? Yeah. So we have the iPad. We're going to sellotape that to his hand, and we're just going to put a little bit of red wine and brandy in with his milk. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Have a safe flight. And you? Just he's a really good flyer. Just going to let him. People love him. No. Turn away. Goodbye. But yeah, all in all, pretty good time. In terms of stuff we got, I'm so glad I went. We got some amazing shit, and it's gonna go. The content will go a long way in terms of the amount of stuff we can do with it. So all in all, great weekend. And now I'm back. A fucking appointments up the wazoo. Blue Mon's launching a new shampoo and conditioner. So you dirty fuckers go and fucking buy it. Actually, don't. Just text me and I'll send you some. That's what I do for the posse. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes away from the end, and I want to discuss the MMA GOAT status. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Here for me are the people that have been put in the list so far as the GOAT, or the only 3 that I think should be in the conversation right now. George St. Pierre, John Jones, Anderson Silva. I think those are my 3. I think by far and away, not by far and away, because Anderson Silva did some fucking amazing shit, but in terms of, for me, what I think the MMA GOAT should be, it should be a combination of undefeated. I think that's a big point. I think utilization of multiple disciplines. I think, for me, because it's mixed martial arts, the GOAT should be someone who epitomizes the mixture of those martial arts. So like, look at John from top to bottom. Knees, clinch work, elbows, wrestling, kicking. Some of the best kicking. Like, John was a wrestler. So his kickboxing is fucking outstanding. His range, his control of distance, submission game. He first person to finish Rampage Jackson, finished him with the choke. He's won fights everywhere. And then also the strength of schedule. So people might say, why is Khabib not in yours? I think Khabib is phenomenal, but number one, he didn't defend his belt enough, in my opinion. And number two, I think his strength of schedule wasn't as tough. I think the real people of note that he beat was Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. That's it, like, really. Edson Barboza, but Edson Barboza loses to people, so so two. And Charles Oliveira's beaten both of them. But throw Michael Chandler in on top of that as well. So, like, Charles is well on his way. Obviously, he's not undefeated, but, like, for me, Charles is, like, that fight, Charles and Khabib, I don't know what way that goes. So I think for someone to be able to make the argument against you so quickly after you leaving, I don't think it's possible for you to be the best ever. Okay, so the takebacks, well, I'd be impartial if I didn't. I wouldn't be being impartial if I didn't point out the obvious takeaways from John. Actually, no. Let me just walk through his record quickly. So some of John's wins. Mauricio Shogun Rua, Daniel Cormier twice, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Anthony Gustafsson, Andy Smith, Thiago Santos, Chael Sonnen, off the top of my head, I think that's all the ones I have. That's not great, but what I mean is that's the fucking ton of, like, Hall of Famers in their own right there. Do you know what I mean? Look at DC, man. DC's, like, considered one of the, like, greatest ever, and he is, and, like, two-way champion and stuff. John beat him twice. And obviously now people bring up the PED stuff. You can bring up that, and you can bring up, his behaviour outside the octagon. I'm deciding to focus solely on what's happening in the cage. Not to say that I don't think John's steroid accusations, I think the small amount of the, like, picograms, which was famously the term that were found, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't know shit, but I can only go off the information that I have. I don't think what he took was on purpose. I think the way John lived, it was very likely that he had a tainted supplement. I don't think he was perfect, but I don't think he was on PEDs. I think he's a fucking, he's an incredible athlete. His family are all athletes. Two of his brothers are in the NFL. I think and then obviously, like, he's fucking incredibly gifted and has, obviously he trained hard in the beginning and throughout, but he's incredibly gifted. His mind and his, like, ability to read fight is outstanding. But he does have, obviously, his drawbacks. The PED stuff and the all the party and stuff. It to me, it actually makes him slightly more endearing, just because I don't like someone who pretends that they're perfect. And for him to have, like, all these flaws and still be able to do what he does is, for me, it's just even, I think it just brings the story to up a level even more. But if John can return now and come back and have a heavyweight run and potentially win a heavyweight belt, if that ever happens, I think depending on what happens now, because I'm basing that, I'm basing the John Jones that I'm basing my GOAT John Jones as the period where he I'd say up until even DC2, man, he looked so good. I think after that, I think the Santos fight and the Anthony Smith fight were they were tough fights. They're both tough guys, but I don't think John was at his best in those. So he might come back and not look the same. He might come back look better than ever. Who knows? But I'm intrigued to see it either way, and I intend to fucking back him till the end, depending on whoever he fights in heavyweight. I think I back him against most heavyweight fighters right now. Even in Ngannou, I think John could figure that out quite quickly. So we will see what happens. But until then, folks, I want to thank you all very much for listening. This has been another edition of the Pear Pod. 30 episodes in, 1 million to go. We're lining up some guests, believe it or not. There is some guests lined up for the summer. So we will have some more guest episodes coming on. But until then, thank you all for the support. I will see you all in the next one. Pear Pod out.